And welcome to another episode of Experts Speak. I'm Michael DeLon. Today, I am talking with Vicky Rackner. Vicky, wow, thank you for being with me and spending some time with me today.
I'm so excited to be here. Thanks for the invitation.
You are so welcome. Vicky's vibrant. She's got as much energy as I do. So buckle up because it's going to be a fast-paced, engaging conversation, and we're going to help you understand what Vicky does. She's got a company called Thriving Doctors, and what she does is she helps doctors. I love this. Get more of what they want and less of what they don't. And it's going to be a fun conversation. So, Vicky, tell me as we get started in this, how in the world did you get doing what you're doing today?
Well, Michael, if my life had a bumper sticker, it would read Heal Thyself. I
Okay.
dealt with some problems myself and then decided to help others along the way. So I was a graduate student in physics when one day I fainted on my way to the bathroom. I was bleeding internally. And by the time the surgeons got into my belly, about half of my blood volume was in my pelvis.
Oh,
So
wow.
I remember saying goodbye to my then fiance. I thought it was the final goodbye. And I was so grateful to wake up. I knew I was going to be a doctor and save other people's lives like my own had been saved. So
Uh-huh.
ultimately, I did become a doctor. Not surprisingly, I became a surgeon and spent many years operating on breast cancer patients here in Seattle. Well, my career was kind of tucked in. I thought it was time for me to start my family. So I was blessed. I actually got pregnant with in vitro fertilization.
Wow.
And I had this plan. I was in private practice, I had two exam rooms, and my office manager was a mom. So I converted one of the exam rooms to a nursery and had this idea that my office manager was going to take care of my son while I was off operating. And that actually worked for a while until I couldn't really ignore the fact that my son was different than the other kids in the mommy and me classes. And when he got to be almost a year old and he wasn't talking, I pushed my pediatrician for an evaluation. And he was diagnosed with broad spectrum developmental delay. Now,
Hmm.
Michael, I had operated my whole pregnancy. I was exposed to radiation because when you take out a gallbladder, you've got to shoot x-rays of the gallbladder tract. And um, my number one priority was my son. So he
Yeah.
was enrolled in this special state funded school. And I thought that's my priority. I took a leave from my practice to be a full-time mom. I was going to do everything I could to help my son. And so I remember one day I was folding a load of laundry and I get this call from a lawyer. Hey, would you be willing to look at a case of medical malpractice? And I thought anything but another load of laundry. So that one case led to more and more. And at the end of this year break, my son was retested and he was booted out because he now met all of the developmental landmarks.
Awesome.
He is 27 now. If you met him, you would not ever imagine that he got off to this kind of start. But at the end of that year, my question was, what do I do? I loved operating. I could certainly have gone back to operating, but I thought, how many people have been in a life-threatening situation as a patient, been a doctor who saved other people's
Yeah.
lives, been a family caregiver, and seen where care went off track? So, bing, I had this idea. What if I started a consulting company helping doctors and patients collaborate more effectively to get better medical outcomes, right? That sounds
Yeah.
great, right?
Sounds great.
So I launched that consulting business and I struggled and struggled and struggled.
Hmm.
I kept on investing in courses and mentors. And I remember being over in Europe to speak. I went to plug in my laptop, but of course, you can't do that directly because Europe is wired differently. You
Yes.
need an adapter. And I thought, that's it. I, as a doctor, am wired differently than the people I was hoping to write me checks. And if I could create this adapter, I could plug into the people I wanted to work with. And I did, and I did. So, I have had the honor of being a speaker on national platforms, of being interviewed on NPR, of, writing books that people love. And I don't say this to impress people, but to impress upon people the difference in that adapter. I was the same person before and after I had this adapter. I had the same value promise.
Yeah.
But what was new is truly understanding the minds of my clients and prospects and then being able to plug into them.
Wow. What an amazing story, number one. And I love the adapter because that starts bringing everything together when you realize that to go, oh, awesome. So, since that time, you have been helping doctors and a lot of other people, but talk a little bit about how you're helping doctors. You say get more of what they want and less of what they don't. Let's talk about that in the transition of the transformation you're bringing to their lives because from the outside they have it all, but when you peel back the onion a little bit, there's probably more to the story, right?
Yes, this is a very challenging time for doctor. Now, let me just say, Michael, that as a doctor, I feel blessed to be in a position of helping somebody in this profound time of need. And doctors have a heart of service. They bring this
Yeah.
heart of service to their patients. Unfortunately, what that often means is that when they put their patients at the top of the to-do list, then they put their family next, they're at the bottom of the list.
Yes.
And since pre-pandemic, we have been seeing an epidemic of burnout among physicians.
Wow.
So doctors are actually leaving. They're taking early retirement. And what I want to do is help doctors create this life that they want. And quite often it means putting their own needs higher on the to-do list
Absolutely.
and building a brain for business.
Mm.
This adapter thing, the suits
Yes.
versus the white coats, the business-minded person versus the doctor, we all want to be successful, right?
Yeah.
But the metric by which success is measured is money, right?
Yes.
You want to help your clients be profitable. That's why
That's
they
right.
invest in these book packages, right?
That's right.
That is the metric for success. And, let's say an orthopedic surgeon walked into the doctor's dining room and said, "Oh, great year. My profits increased by 30% last year." He'd be sent to a psychiatrist. Like, that's not how doctors think. That's not how doctors talk. We measure our impact by the way in which we serve people. Now, here's the truth: profitability and service are intertwined, right? You
Yes, they
can't be
are.
profitable if you don't serve,
That's
and
right.
you can't serve if you can't keep your lights on.
That's right.
So, what I do is I help doctors understand this relationship. But once I started thinking about this, I realized that the biggest challenge for doctors is their relationship with money.
Hmm.
Because, there were doctors who held the belief, well, gee, if I'm thinking about, becoming wealthy myself, what does that mean about my commitment to service?
Yes.
So it's really the core of what I do, truly, is changing people's relationship with money. Because when you change your relationship with money, you change your life, like literally.
Absolutely. Yeah. And any good surgeon, when they go in, and I've never been in the surgery room, well, I guess I was there one time, but I expect you to have this table full of instruments, and every instrument's a different instrument. But I don't want to go to a surgeon that has two scalpels. I want the one that has 18 scalpels, all designed for a specific purpose. And that's how I see money. It's a tool. A lot of times I talk about it being a big toolbox. For a surgeon, it's that big table with all of the instruments. That's your money, and it allows you to operate life any way you want, providing actually more service to yourself, your family, and your community when you have that right relationship with it. Is that a fair analogy?
I love that analogy. I love it. I might
You can,
quote
you can
you
borrow that.
someday. But what I say is that money allows you to serve in a bigger way.
It does. It absolutely does. And that's what doctors have to understand, that yes, God has gifted them with a unique ability, right? To do surgery and to serve their patients and things. Well, that comes with the benefit of generating lots of revenue, lots of money. And now the question is, what am I going to do with that? And how does that play into who I am, how I live my life, and making sure that as the physician, you're not giving your life to the work, because you need to give your life to yourself and your family
Right.
as you serve your clients, because you're actually going to be better at serving your clients when you serve yourself. For it seems backwards, but is that, have you found that to be true?
Absolutely. So, first, let me just step back and say there's a reason things are like this. Now, I'm a
Mm,
boomer. When I went through my training, we had a deeply held ethic that the care that a patient should get should be independent of a patient's ability to pay. So,
mm,
we didn't talk about money.
yeah,
We were taught not to talk about money. And it's kind of a crazy idea, right?
it
Because that
is.
means that it's hard to have a conversation with your doctor about, like, how much is this going to cost?
Right.
But the problem is that doctors bring this into their lives too.
Mm-hmm.
So, they figure, well, I guess things will just kind of take care of themselves. And it feels like a taboo topic. It feels like the ultimate taboo topic.
Mm.
We can talk about the embarrassing peas, peeing, pooping, and procreating. Like, I can talk about that all day long, but try to have a conversation with a doctor about money.
Wow.
That's completely different. So it's really a cultural shift when you rethink your relationship with money. Oftentimes, I will tell people, I get it. You went into medicine to serve, but did you know that Mother Teresa was a master fundraiser?
That's right. That's right. And that's money at the end of the day. But it's money with a purpose, right?
Right.
And I think when I assume physicians are the same way, right? When you get that mindset shift to go, oh, this is why I get to do. I always relate it to um being a conduit. You know what PVC pipe is,
Uh-huh.
right? It's
Uh-huh.
a conduit. You put
Right.
water in one end, it puts
Uh-huh.
water, the conduit doesn't hold anything.
Right.
And I think physicians are at the place that mentally they need to go from a 1 inch conduit, that they are a 1 inch conduit, to go, no, I could be a 5 or 10 inch conduit because of my abilities. And I'm not going to hold the money. I'm going to use the money, yes, for my good, but for the good of my family, community, other things that really, really, at a deep level, fire them up. And they see that connection of, I have greater purpose now, one of the other piece, to generate more profit through my performance.
Absolutely. Love how you said that. So, I've got a new idea that's really the topic of my third book, and it's called How Doctors Build True Wealth. So, what
Hmm.
is true wealth?
Mm-hmm.
It's this intersection between three ideas: living a satisfied life, where your life is aligned with your values and
Yeah.
your spending is aligned with your values. So that is number one. So the first thing we start out with is, what do you value? What
Mm-hmm.
is important to you? Then does your checkbook and your calendar reflect those values? Like, would I
Yeah.
be able to tell that? So that's number one. Number two is living a rich life. And when you are rich on a monthly basis, you are able to fund the things and the activities that bring you joy in life and purpose in life. So,
Absolutely.
rich is a snapshot. A
Yes.
wealthy life is one in which you can string together rich lives, months of rich life for the rest of your days. So
Yeah.
it's being able to generate the revenue to do the things that are important for you, even when your earned income ends. And some people have really big ideas about what they want,
Yeah.
create intergenerational wealth, being able to build a hospital someplace that's important.
Yes.
So this can all be bound up in service, but the things that help you get a satisfied life might be different than the things that help you get a rich life or a wealthy life. So it's kind of an engine. And what we do is we take a look at how the engine overall is working, and then we dig down and say, how can we tune up this engine? How can we create that PVC pipe and
Yeah.
replace it so that it hums more efficiently? It really works.
Wow. I love that. I love how you said being rich is a snapshot. Being wealthy, I said in my head, that's more like a movie then, because you've got all these snapshots that go together. And it reminds me of like Walt Disney back in the day, the little film that every little section was a snapshot. You put it all
Right.
together, it becomes a movie that the audience comes and they're satisfied. I love how you've put that together. That is amazing. I
Absolutely. Well, thank you. I really appreciate that. Means so much for me coming from you. But here's the deal. There are all sorts of forces all around us that get in the way of this idea of a rich life
mm-hmm.
because we're always taught if only you buy this thing, you're going to
Right.
be more satisfied. If you only get that thing. And, doctors specifically were trained to look at what other doctors are doing. Professionally, we have this idea of a standard of care. So
Mm-hmm.
one of my mentors once said, Vicky, don't be the first doctor or the last doctor to prescribe a new medicine. Be somewhere in the middle. So we're always comparing what we do to
Yeah.
what others do. So, what cars everyone driving? What's the square footage of everyone's house? Where are people vacationing? Now we all do this, especially with social media.
Yes,
So
absolutely.
this can be really hard. There are some doctors for whom being rich or projecting the image
Yeah.
of being rich is keeping them from being wealthy.
That's right. Absolutely. Oh, that is so good. Because because they get trapped. And it costs a lot of money to be rich, right?
Right,
But
exactly.
when you change the dynamic and understand the driving forces behind true wealth, it really changes the equations. It reduces stress. It increases passion and motivation. This is so how do you work with doctors who are, I mean, I can hear some doctors listening to this right now going, you just spoke into my life. How did you know that? Right? How do you work with them to along this pathway? Is it they read your book or they engage with you? What's it even look like?
Great question. And I just want to say that writing a book really transformed people's ability to hear my message, right?
Yeah.
Because I've got a book and then I'm invited to speak. I'm on platforms. Now, I have podcasts and YouTube stations. So I have all sorts of ways of people finding me. But I think the book gave me credibility in a completely new way. And I'm fortunate. Like, I recognize that those two little letters after my name, MD, can
Yes.
really help. So it is through getting my message out there, being on your podcast. I'm so grateful to be here. It allows me to serve the people I want to serve. This is not a little problem. This
Right.
is a huge problem.
Yeah.
So I feel really honored to do this work. If you would have told me when I applied to medical school that this is where I am right now, I would have laughed in your face. That's
Yeah.
like completely ridiculous. But I think that the message, Doctor, there's more, it can be
Mm,
different, and you don't have to change things radically. Like you don't have to quit your job.
right.
What you do is you can have different thoughts about your job. You can recalibrate your life for what's most important to you. You can express gratitude so you can feel yourself. You can experience yourself having a rich month, even if the spending doesn't change in a single way.
Wow, that's amazing. And as you were talking about that, because you're interacting with these physicians, you're giving them not just an audience, not just a counselor, but many times I bet the permission to change how they view themselves and their world. Does that resonate?
Absolutely. So I don't talk to doctors about this because it's not a magnetic message, but really what I do is a mindset shift.
Yeah,
I help people have a different relationship with money,
yeah,
a different relationship with what's most important to them.
yeah.
And that sends ripples out. They feel empowered. They don't feel like victims of their life circumstances. They
Hmm.
really focus in on the things that they can control.
Yes. Oh, and I'm just sitting here thinking about the freedom that they're going to experience, the impact it's going to make in their spouse's life, their children's lives, and even their teammates' lives, because something's going to say something's changed, doctor. What is it? I mean, right?
Ex- Exactly. It's kind of like weight loss. You can see it, right? And
Yeah.
when people become empowered, when they really embrace their ability to craft their own lives, regardless of circumstances, it's like they've just lost 50 pounds.
Yes.
People can tell what is
Absolutely.
different from you for
Yeah.
you.
Oh, absolutely. And it's fun because the other thing is what you described earlier, the engine that you have, right? Satisfied life, a rich life, the wealthy life. That is a perpetuating engine, meaning it
Yes.
it goes on and on and on because this is not a short-term quick fix, let's get her done. This is a lifestyle impact change, not just for the physician, but for everybody around them.
Right. And, once you see how this choice about, buying the car that you've always wanted, you understand where it has impact every single place.
Yeah.
And you make more conscious choices. And I think one of the things that's so hard about money is that a lot of choices, which turn into habit, tend to happen on the unconscious level. We just kind of do this reflexively. And it's hard to change a habit, right?
It is.
But once you take this subconscious thought and you make it conscious, oh yeah, I just went to, my colleague's house for dinner and I was really jealous because their house is so much nicer than mine. You don't just go out and call the realtor.
Right.
You start thinking and you start making conscious choices. Yes, well, they've got a great house, but you know what? I love my house. And you know what else I love more? I love that I'm going to be able to retire at 50 if I
Absolutely.
want.
Yeah. And I love that I don't have an $8,000 a month mortgage. Yeah.
Exactly,
So
exactly.
there's a lot of reframing that goes on, right? That we
Yes.
all need to be doing. I don't think doctors necessarily are taught that. And that's one thing you bring to the table. You bring so much to the table that we probably need to continue this on another episode, actually. And it's rare that I find somebody who has so much going on, but I love this idea of this engine, and you're just now launching that. I know you've got multiple books. You've got talk to the physician who's listening right now, going, I need to find out more. Where would they go, Vicky, to find out more about you, to just take a step in that direction to go, maybe there is hope. Maybe I'm not the only one on earth dealing with this.
Well, I invite you to go to my Thriving Doctors website, get on my list. Regularly, I send out information to help people take a micro step, just that first step
Yeah.
towards a life of true wealth. You can also go to my Thriving Doctors YouTube channel. I've got some videos where I'm reinforcing these ideas, but if you are thinking about, well, I want to learn more, the very first thing I want to say is just take a breath and know there is an opportunity to craft the life you never imagined. an incredible life where truly you get what you want. You know how to talk to your kids about money and create a different relationship that's going to last for generations. Because when you take a look at money and transform that, you transform your life.
I love that. That is so well said. So what we're going to do, we're going to take in the show notes, we're going to have the thrivingdoctors.com, the website, the information, so you can take that next step, because that's really what we want to do, is take a step at a time and understand more about Vicky's journey and how that really parallels with your journey, what she has learned and what she is happy to prescribe, right? To walk with you so that you can have the life that you want and get rid of the things you don't want, which, if you're like most people, you're not talking to a lot of people about it, and that's eating you alive. So just like Vicky, you had something that was eating you alive. I think a lot of physicians are being eaten alive by all of this stuff that the world tells them they need or they should be. And the reality is they need to own it so that they can have a satisfied life, a rich life, and a wealthy life. And you're going to help them do that. You get so excited, Vicky, talking with you, because you're putting all of this together and you're making it so accessible. Thank you for doing what you do with passion and energy and making life different for physicians and many, many others that they touch.
Thank you for your kind words.
Mm.
And truly, this is an honor to be able to deliver this message.
Well, thank you again. I'm going to grab all of this information. It's going to be in the show notes. So grab it. If you know a physician, send them this episode just as a kindness to go, you need to listen to this so that they can get in touch with Dr. Vicky Rackner. Vicky, thank you so much. Thank you all for listening to Experts Speak. I appreciate it. Tune in again for another great episode. Take care. God bless.